Hello, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to talk about this novel by Alice Feeney, Good Bad Girl. I recently went to a book signing of hers. I believe it was at the end of August. And at that book signing, I purchased this book. I had already had a book of hers, Daisy Darker. And I purchased this one at random. I thought it would be the best selection since it was her newest novel. Anyway, so she signed my novel, and she just signed her name. I think she was a little bit tired because I think she flew halfway across the world, and she had already signed my Daisy Darker novel, and it was personalized, all things inky, which I appreciate. Anyway, so Good Bad Girl it's a novel that it spans across many decades, and it involves just a few key characters. The characters have depth. They have their secrets. This novel has an element of mystery to it, and with that becomes intrigue. The characters are very thought-provoking and subtle, in a subtle way. It's not overwhelming. The tone of this novel is almost quiet. Like, you have to really devote yourself to it to fully appreciate it. But if you take the time to do that, then you'll hear all the nuances. You'll see the nuances. This novel was particularly a challenge to read for me. It has a lot to do with family dynamics, particularly relationships between a mother and daughter. And if I had have known that at the time of purchase, undoubtedly I would have skipped it, and I would have probably bought the His and Hers. I think it was called His and Hers. The Perfect Marriage. I don't know. Something to that effect that Alice Feeney recently wrote. It was also at the book signing. I would have gravitated there. I purchased this novel solely because it was her most recent novel, and I was again at her book signing. Am I happy that I read this novel? I'm indifferent. Her writing style is beautiful, but could I have taken her writing style in with a different novel that she had already written? I believe so, because it did mimic Daisy Darker to a degree in the way that she conveyed herself, her diction, her pace, her insightfulness, the simplicity, the clarity. All of that came into play in such a beautiful way. Yes, it did. For both novels, I can definitely tell that the same writer wrote both of these novels, and given recent events, No, I would not personally read this book again. Would I recommend this book to someone else? Yes, I would. It is creative. You don't know what's going to happen. It is very suspenseful, but suspenseful not in an exhausting way, but an intriguing way. A way that keeps you invested. Some suspenses, they're a little bit exhausting, but you know, that's okay because life, it takes you away from life, makes you forget about life, and you can just focus on this novel. In case I forgot to mention, this novel is written from many vantage points of the characters. It was copywritten in 2013. I have a first edition because they're the best. The beginning of this novel starts at the end. I love the pages. They're so thick and wonderful. Skipping to the ending, which I think the author would approve of. In her acknowledgement, she mentions that at some point in this novel, she went through a challenging period of her life, and it's hinted that she had a gap. She had a gap when she was writing this, but she doesn't specify what that gap was. And as a mystery writer, I appreciate her for that. Like, you can tell your truth without revealing every single detail. And I believe that is easily forgotten. You don't have to reveal everything, at least not at once. We can fill in the gaps, at least sometimes. I'm always amazed at these author events. Like, they look exactly like they do in their pictures. She was no exception. I really enjoy that each chapter features a different little illustration. They're so beautiful, but so detailed. And they're just so telling of what is important, what's most important to that character, or what is most important to their essence. The ladybug. Who doesn't like a ladybug? Who doesn't obsess over time? How do we not think about the places that we live and how they reflect us? Anyway, I'm going to put this on my bookshelf, and it was a fun read. It was a fun read, but I'm happy it's over. Wait, let me correct myself. It was a interesting read that led to a lot of reflection. If only she would have signed it the way I wanted it to be signed. But Alice, Feeney, we're okay. We're all right. I still appreciate you. I had one author sign my novel. All things like what was it like? Mystery and Cheesecake. And he was like, mysteries and cheesecake. And then I think that I was so exhausted that day, I didn't even come to my mind that I should probably remind him, don't you remember that whole entire chapter you wrote about the Cheesecake Factory? Like, okay, it wasn't about the Cheesecake Factory, but the setting was the Cheesecake Factory. And what gets better than cheesecake and mysteries? And I most definitely read his novel while eating some cheesecake. I think it was like a salted caramel. Ooh, so good. This is a photograph from the fabulous Chase Park Plaza. So that's about the end of my review, but just a little bit to come, so you know. In January, I am going to see Rachel Hawkins. I'm so excited. I read her novel Reckless Girls January of this year, so it's perfect timing. Thank you again for visiting. Don't forget to tell me what you think. Have you read this novel? Have you read any works by Alice Feeney?